All right, we're talking about why do people have to eat? Why do people have to eat? The Rebbe asked the question, man has life, is alive. And his life is higher than animal life. It's higher than plant life. Why is it that our life depends on eating animals or plants? Why can't we just live from our soul? Our soul is higher than animal soul or a plant soul.
Actually, minerals also.
Minerals, of course, yeah. Eat salt, water. You can't, without water, you're finished. Sure. But we eat just pure minerals also. There's also, right, in every, in the plants, there's all the minerals and earth and things like that that they used, right? All they used, but you're right. There's also the phosphorates and the calcium and these other things that are minerals. So why do we need these things to live? If a person doesn't eat a potato, right? A person's dying. Give him a potato, he's alive. You saved his life from a potato, right? Person doesn't eat for a day, he gets all confused, hard for him to think straight, right? Can't think properly. So why do people have to eat? So the Rebbe says one reason is because by means of eating, we elevate these lower things. We elevate them. What does it mean we elevate them? La'alot, latet, aliyah. That minerals are used by plants, so now minerals become plants. It's a higher form of life. Plants have more life than minerals do. Minerals are dead. Plants grow. Animals eat plants. Plants have no mobility. Plants have very small amount of consciousness. They say they make there's reports and experiments that plants react to music. Right? If you play music in the greenhouses, that the plants react better. We see that plants react to sunlight. You ever watch the flowers outside? They face toward the sun, where the sun goes. Very quite beautiful. We know that plants react to if it's too hot, if it's too cold. Plants react. So plants have a certain reaction, not like rocks. Animals have even more. Animals are mobile. They react even more. They care for their children. They give birth. They protect their children. And there's a camaraderie between animals. You can train animals. You can't train a plant. You can train animals to do things, to teach things. You can utilize them to pull your cart to protect it as watchdogs. But humans are even more. So when a human being eats one of these, an animal, so the animal becomes a human. It actually it elevates, it gives an elevation to these things, makes them more meaningful. And ideally, when a human being serves the Creator, so that elevates the human being to be above a human being, to be godly. But now the Rebbe is going to give a deeper reason. Hine ba'omak inyan, a little bit deeper. This explains why we have to eat, but why is it that a human being needs these things? Why do we need them? Right? We are dependent on these things in order to live. According to what I just explained, it's the opposite. These things are dependent on us. The plants and the animals and the rocks, they're dependent on us to receive an elevation, not the other way around, that we depend on. Why are we dependent on them? Hine ba'omaka inyan, a little bit deeper. Hine tam v'sibat adavar, the reason Ma she'adam tzarich la'achila v'shtia. Why human beings need to eat and drink? Lefi, it is because shehanitzuzot, that the sparks, shebedevorim agashmim, in the physical things, hine behold, hem gavoim b'shorsham min ha'adam. In fact, minerals, plants, and animals have a higher spiritual source than man does. What does this mean? Teshorish ha'adam, because the source of man, hu me'olam hatikun, comes from an order of a creative force. God creates the world, right? So there's different forces of creation. That's sometimes the names of God, different names of God, different letters of God's name, different permutations of these letters, different numerical values of these letters. It says that the wise men in the time of the Talmud, and there was Rabbah, he was one of the Amoroyim. It was 1,600 something years ago, a little bit less maybe. That they could use this book called Sefer Yetzirah. You can buy the book in a store, Sefer Yetzirah, and they could create a human being. There's a Gemara. It says a Rabbah Bara Gavra. The Rabbah created a man. They could create a man. There's the story of the Maharal Miprag. It says he created a human being. The human being could not talk, couldn't speak. It wasn't a full human being, but it had the power of thinking and a power of understanding, making choices even. It says Rabbah Bara Gavra. He could make a human being. He could create a human being. So there's the letters. He knew the spiritual power behind letters of God, because he could use these letters, and he also prayed, and he used the spiritual connection to the Creator and his surrender to the Creator. Whatever he did, he could create a human being. It says that the rabbis also, they created a cow. They created a cow. They slaughtered. It says that Yosef's brothers, they created a cow. They could shecht it, they could eat it. It's a question if you have to really slaughter it or not. If it's really considered to be a real cow, if it's under the laws of the Torah. But anyway, they did it. They could create from the letters of the source. So these are different creative forces that there are in the world. And this is very, very complicated. Very complicated. And the books Eitz Chaim, these Kabbalistic books, explain this in great detail. The different lights and different powers of godliness, from the nose of God, the right nostril, the left nostril, the right eye, left eye, the ears, these whatever, right? And of course, that's one of the reasons why you're not supposed to learn Kabbalah until you're really settled down and you're married and everything, because you can take these things. There's two dangers of learning Kabbalah alone. And that is, you can take things too literally and think that God is really some sort of a person or some sort of a being that's separate from us. That's separate from us. There's two separate things. There's God and there's the world. Says that's something like what Elisha ben Avua did, Acher. That he said when he got up to the hires, he said there was two different powers. There was God and there was the world. There was bad, there was good, whatever. And the other problem is that you can think that this world is completely meaningless. By learning Kabbalah, you realize how do you say, ethereal, wispy, not really existent this world is, how meaningless and foolish this world is. The upper worlds, that's where it's at. And a person can come to the point where he doesn't care about anything in the world. He won't want to get married, doesn't care if he has a job, doesn't care what people say about him, he won't eat, won't sleep, he just wants the upper worlds.
Thinking that everything's an illusion.
Thinking that the world is an illusion. That was something like the danger what happened to Nadav and Avihu. It says Aaron's sons. So they went into the Holy of Holies and they didn't come out. Okay, so there's two powers. Let's go back to our original subject. There's all these powers and forces that God uses to create the world. Two general ones are called Tohu and Tikkun. Tohu and Tikkun. We talked about this in last week's class. Tohu and Tikkun. Man comes from this thing called Tikkun. Tikkun means fixed up, organized. Tohu means not organized. Tohu, in a way, means confusion. It's something like in the world, a little bit in the world, like, if you want to call it monarchy and anarchy. Right? Monarchy means, ideally, it's supposed to be, there's a king, and the king organizes everything. Everything is organized. You can't do what you want. You cannot do what you want. You must do what the king says. Right? The king knows best, and it's supposed to be that the king really knows best. So he makes the world, fixes everything up. His country, that's tikkun. Whatever the king says, the king makes order. That's how it's supposed to be. That's the olam of tikkun. Tikkun is God makes and gives the power of harmony, that everything works together. Nothing does what it wants. It only does for the big plan. And tohu is like anarchy. Tohu is everybody does what they want. But on the other hand, anarchy is very, very good because everybody is who they really are. They just do what they want. The artists are artists, and the fighters are fighters, and the whatever the people who eat, they're eaters, and whatever. You just go for it totally. Nothing will stop you. Right? So that's your full potential is revealed. It's something like an artist before he paints. So he has these colors. What are the essential colors? What is it? Yellow and red and green. Right. Anyway, with these colors, so they're pure. The colors are pure. As soon as he starts to paint, so he mixes them in together. And then they're not pure anymore. And tohu is pure. Tohu is pure world. Pure kindness, pure power, pure balance, pure... It's a question, what is Tiferes of tohu?
The primary colors.
Right.
And they're beautiful.
Beautiful, each one on an own, but you really can't call it in a way beautiful. You can call it impressive, right? Green.
As if you call it truth beautiful. Same way.
Okay, in a way. Let's call it love, right? Love. Truth is a sort of a little bit different thing, but okay, you can say that. This is true love, pure love, right? Truth is a little bit differently because truth has to be balanced. In order for there to be truth, there has to be some. Okay, how it comes.
The Torah's truth.
Right, truth is usually a mixture of everything. We'll see truth is usually beauty. Usually only comes from that's Tiferes. That's why there's a question if can be Tiferes in tohu, beauty and tohu. All right, let's just not go into that. Tohu is everything is pure, unrelated. Everything is pure. What it is, it's pure what it is. It's like I said before, like yesterday, in an orchestra, before they start to play, all the instruments play their full range as fast, as loud as they can, warming up, right? That's great. That's an oboe. That's a bassoon, right? That's a kettle drums, right? They do the maximum what they can, right? As soon as they start playing, right? That's an oboe. Come on, he only plays once right? His mother comes to hear him play. Oh, you only played twice in the whole concert. I thought there would be more. Right? That's tikkun. Tikkun means everything is balanced. Okay, there's tohu and tikkun. Animals, plants, rocks, they come from the world. They demonstrate in this world, the world of tohu. Tohu. They are what they are, and they don't change. A cat is a cat. A dog is a dog. A rock is a rock. Right? A plant is a plant. If man comes along and makes hybrids or something like that, they can change. But generally speaking, that's what they are. Right? A man can act like a dog. He can act like a plant. He can act like a rock. He can act like a horse. A man eats like a horse, and he sings like a dog. Right? There's people that they can do whatever they want. People can change themselves. People can change other people. That's the essence of man. A person can convince another person to change. His conscience can change him. A person is that's tikkun. Tikkun. A person can make a balance. He can balance himself according to different situations. Right? Take a person in the coldest of cold, a place where an animal, a normal animal, a monkey would die. Monkey wouldn't know what to do. A man all of a sudden goes there and he figures out a way to make clothes and to warm himself up. Take the same person, put him into a warm place where if you put that, a polar bear would die, right? A person understands how to do it. He makes himself a shelter. People can adapt. And people can defy. Exactly the opposite. They can refuse to adapt, right? A person lives in Nazi Germany. A German lives in Nazi Germany, says he refuses to go and kill people. He refuses to, right? Lives in communist Russia, communist China. He refuses to go against. He refuses. A person can defy. Animals can't defy. Animals, they wherever they are, they're subject to their surrounding. So that's tikkun and tohu. Tohu is what it is. That's pure. Up in the upper spheros, there's 10 what's called spheres of creation. Spheres that God uses. It's called the sphirot. It's a world of tohu. Everything is pure. It's like the artist's palette before he starts to paint. Tikkun, everything is already mixed. Each one of the sphirot contains all the others, and each one of those contains all the others, and each one of those contains all the others. Infinite combinations and possibilities inside of each creation. That's the world of tikkun. Tikkun is balancing. Okay, let's go. Lefi, because the sparks which are in physical things, we'll talk about sparks in a moment. Him gavoin, they are higher in their source from Adam, from man. The shorish Adam, that the source of man, whom olam tikkun, comes from the world of tikkun. Masha'enkein, which is not the case. Masha'enkein, which is not the case. Someach, which is not the case. Yep. V'chai, plant and animal. Shorsham, their source, olam hatohu, comes from this world of tohu, which is before tikkun. It's higher than tikkun. Let's explain this. And you know, it's known, the salvos olamos, that the creation of the world's bria, yitzir and asiya, the world creation of the world's bria, yitzir and asiya, are by means of the 10 spheros of Atzilus. Okay, what's going on here? For the uninitiated, I'll initiate you. God has 4 letters of God's name. There's 4 letters of God's name. We know that God is infinite. What do you mean he has a name? You can only call a name to a thing. A thing has a name. Something that's not a thing can't have a name to it. Right? I'm thinking of something that has no shape, no size, has no nature to it. It can do everything. Tell me what it is. Give me a name. George? I don't know. Henry? I don't know. What are you talking about? There's no Rachmil. There's no such thing as that. Right? Give me some sort of a, where is it? It's, no place.
But isn't that how we refer to Hashem?
Oh, so how can we call, if God is not God,
There's nothing that we can define.
If God is
refer to him by
right. Okay, so how can it be that if God is infinite, and is in no definition, he's undefined, there's no limit, how can we give him a name? So we say we give God's name according to what God does. We know that God creates the world. God creates the world. Not only that, according to the prophets, according to others, there are spiritual worlds. There are spiritual worlds that are not perceived by the normal mind. It says that the prophets, Isaiah, Ezekiel, Yechezkel, they perceived these upper worlds. It's talked about Moshe when he went up on Har Sinai, he perceived the upper worlds. The Jewish people, when they crossed Mount Sinai, when they crossed the Yam Suf, it says that all the upper worlds split, and they saw the creator of the upper worlds. So there are upper worlds. What are these upper worlds? So he says, in general, there are what's called 4 upper worlds. 4 upper worlds. There's the spiritual, the worlds are called Asiya, Yetzira, Bria, and Atzilus. Atzilus is another name for pure godliness. Pure godliness. Okay, Herschel.
So what do you mean sparks?
One second. We'll talk about sparks later. Sparks we'll talk later. Atzilut is pure godliness. Atzilut is another name for God. But really it's not God. It's godliness. Okay, what's the difference? Because there are levels which are much above Atzilut. But Atzilut, let's say for our purposes, that's world of pure revelation of godliness. Pure God. Then there's the world of Bria. Bria is creation. That's when God starts to create the world. Bereshis Bora. That's Bria. That's the highest, if you want to call it, of the spiritual worlds. Spiritual. Spiritual is a creation. The world of Atzilus, in a way, is not really spiritual. It's godly. It's the creator. It's not the creation. Creation begins with Bria. Lower than Bria is the world of Yetzira. Yetzira is, generally speaking, the world of the angels.
Shalom.
Tell me about later. And so the 10 Sfirot of Atzilut is what created the world. Where do we get this idea from? We see that in the creation, in the Bible. Look in the Bible. What does it say? That God created the world with 10 utterances. Ba'asara mamor says, like it says, Ba'asara mamorot, with 10 utterances, Nivra Olam, God created the world. God created the world with 10 utterances. Why 10 utterances? Why couldn't he just say world and that's it, create the world? Why did he have to talk at all? Just create the world. This is why 10 world, because this is showing that there was 10 what do they call, facets of creation that God uses to create the world. These 10 facets are called the 10 Sfirot of Atzilut. Atzilut is the highest world, or let's maybe say another way of saying it, the highest dimension. Atzilut is also here. Atzilut is higher dimension. The Rebbe gave an example of what it's like. Anybody who's ever learned geometry, there's a point, and a line, and a plane, and a square. Nekuda, v'kav, v'shetach, v'meruba, kuba, kub. So there's an infinite number of points in a line. And there's an infinite number of lines in a plane, right? You can take a plane, right? There's an infinite number of planes in a box, in a square. So how many points are there in a box? 4 times infinite. Makes no sense, right? Infinite is infinite. So how can there be 4 times infinite, 5 times infinite? So it doesn't make any sense. That something like that is the world of Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah. Within the world of Atzilut is an infinitely smaller dimension, which is called Bria. That's something like a cube is Atzilut, and the plane is Bria, just to make it understandable. Atzilut is not a cube. And then the world of Yetzirah is like the line. There's an infinite number of lines in Bria. Now, Bria is infinitely more real, if you want to call it, than the world below it. Below that is what's called the world of Asiyah. The world of Asiyah is like a point, but that's spiritual. Asiyah is divided into 2, the spiritual part of Asiyah and the physical part of Asiyah. What divides between them are the stars and the constellations. That divides between the spiritual Asiyah and the physical. That's why people can look at the stars and tell the future and tell these other things, even though it's not really accurate, 100%. But it's accurate. It's fairly accurate, right? To look at it, but it's the fact that it's not to be dependent on 100%. And because if a person could 100%, people would think that that's God, that the stars are God, which people did, that the people worship the stars. Okay, so that's what's called the 4 worlds: Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah. And we are on the lowest of this whole chain of creation. The lower the world has no conception of the higher worlds. Has no conception. It's infinitely more real, like a point can't conceive. If we have point consciousness, we can't conceive of what a line is. How much more so can't conceive of what is a plane, etc. So it says, in each of these worlds is what's called 10 Sfirot. Everything in the world has got 10 aspects of creation in it, of the Creator. Va'omer Razal the Eser Devorim with 10 things Bora HaKodesh Baruch Hu et Olamo, that God created His world with 10 aspects: Chachma, Tavuna, Dat, Bekoach, etc. These are midrashim in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. Hashem b'chachma yisur oretz, like it says, God with wisdom He founded the earth, etc. So we see that God has these aspects. L'chiora eino muvan, it's not understood. Halo eser sfirot of Atzilut. Is it not so that the 10 sfirot of Atzilut, Hem Elokut Mamish, they are Mamish godliness? Eich naseh mihem bria yitzir and asiyah. How can from pure godliness be created a world, Baal Gavul, that is unlimited? V'yesh, and an existence, v'davar nifrad me'elokus, and something that's separate from Hashem. How can it be? Ta'agam, the Chachma, the Reishi, the Chachma, even though the Chachma is the first of the 10 spheros, he gam came bebechinis yesh mi'ayim. Even though the Chachma, which is the top of the 10 spherot, is also something from nothing. How so? Look, so what are we talking about? We know that Hashem in His essence is infinite. We know, on the other hand, that God creates the world. How does He do it? So He says He creates the world through the Sfirot, through Atzilut. Atzilut is what you want to call it, the creative force that creates the world. Let me just ask these boys if they'll just move for a second. Excuse me. Okay. All right, now we're going to get a little bit Kabbalistic here. Ready? Listen to this. It is not understood how God creates the world from His infiniteness. If God is really infinite, then how does He make this world? How does He do it? If He's really infinite, then that means He's not limited. How can you make from unlimited limited? Doesn't make any sense. How could it possibly be such a thing? Where is the point where God limits Himself? How does He do it? Right? How does He limit Himself? A person is limited. So a person can build a house, can make a picture, make a song, because a person is limited. So one limited thing can make another limited thing. How can God, if He's really infinite, make it a finite world? Right? Or God is not so infinite as we think. Because here He's making a world. He's got hands, He has a mouth, He has eyes. What does He have? How does He do it? Right? How does He limit Himself to making a world? How does He do it? So He says, really, it's in a way, it's an unanswerable question, because we're talking about the essence of God. And God does make the world. How does it happen? It really can only be perceived by faith, but the writings of Kabbalah explain it. Why do you need faith? Because you have to always remember that we cannot take any of this literally. God is not a person. God does not have physical aspects or spiritual aspects like we think. These are all these, talking about sfirot of Atzilut, these are infinite. Each aspect of Atzilut is godliness, infinite. There's a beautiful book which is called Derech Mitzvotecha, and in it talks about the source of the commandment of prayer. Perhaps most of Kabbalah is written on prayer, because man connects to God and God reacts to our prayers. How can this possibly be? Does it make any sense? What is the mechanism that works there, that the finite can attach itself to the infinite? If we can attach to the infinite, He must not be so infinite. If He can listen to our prayers, how does it work, right? How is this connection? Same thing, how do we connect to God if He's totally infinite? He has no boundaries whatsoever. And on the other hand, how can God create the world? How can we go up? How can God come down? So here we see. The 10 sfirot of Elokut are pure godliness. Eich naseh mihem. How can they make from this Bria a creation? Bria, Yetzir, and Asiyah, the worlds of Bria, Yetzir, and Asiyah. How? Shein Bali Gavul, that they're unlimited, that they are limited. V'yesh, and a separate thing, V'davar nifrad. Hagam, even though that the fact is that from God to Atzilus, from Hashem himself to Atzilut, which is Reshit, the beginning of the 10 Sfirot, it's also called something from nothing. Chachma of Atzilut is also called something from nothing. Chachma of Atzilut, the highest level that we're talking about, in relation to the essence of God, is also nothing. Is also nothing. Or here we want to call it, it's something that comes from nothing. In other words, what's above it is infinitely greater than it. So it says like this. Atzilut is infinite, and godliness is infinitely more so than Atzilut. What do we have here? Ha'inyan like this. Tehine levad zot yesh ne'etzal eno kamo yesh nivra. A yesh of Atzilut is not the same thing as the yesh of the world of Bria. You with me, Herschel? The yesh of Atzilut, the existence of the world of Atzilut, the highest of the four worlds, Hagam she'i b'chinet yesh, even though that is considered to be a world, legabi atzmut, in comparison to the essence of God, mikol makom, nevertheless, hu b'chinet elokut mamash. It is pure godliness. The 10 Sfirot of Atzilus are pure godliness. But they are not God himself. Hine levad zot, not only that, in a yesh mi'ayin hakavana hu she'eser sfirot he me'ora ba'alma. When it says that the world of Atzilut is something from nothing, it means that the 10 Sfirot of Atzilut are just a ray of godliness. Like you take a picture of your grandfather. That's not your grandfather. It's just a picture. But on the other hand, you look at the picture, you say, hey, that's my grandfather. Where'd you get this picture? Right? You walk into the home, oh, that's the Lubavitcher Rebbe. That's Lubavitcher Rebbe. What are you talking about? The Lubavitcher Rebbe is a human being, a great tzaddik. This is just a piece of paper with a bunch of colors on it. It says, but nevertheless, you look at the picture, that's Lubavitcher Rebbe. That's my grandfather, right? You look at the picture. So that's like Atzilut. Atzilut is something like a picture, but it's totally faithful to the source. So it's just, on one hand, it's incomparable to the source. That's what's called yesh mi'ayin. It's something from, it's a thing that's like its source, but totally incomparable to the source, to the point where the source is called real, and this is not called real at all. To take the picture fades away, the picture gets burned, you say, oh, my grandfather gets burned. What are you talking about? It's not your grandfather at all. Right? If you go into the house and punch the picture, they're not going to put you in jail. You punch your grandfather, they'll put you in jail. Right? A picture is totally different from the real thing. It says that's what Atzilus is like. Atzilus is something like a picture of the real thing. It says the world of Atzilus is just an ha'ora bilavad. It's just a ray of godliness alone. Baruch Hu. Shehitavutan bebechinet yesh mi'ayin. The 10 Sfirot of Atzilut are created something from nothing. Incomparable. The loba bechinet yesh miyesh, and not one thing from another. Because when I write a book or I sing a song, I'm something, and the thing that I write or that I sing is something. But God creating the world of Atzilut is not God is something and he creates another something. God is not a thing. He is a no thing. And from no thing he creates Atzilut. Which Atzilut in relation to God is called a thing. But in relation to what's below it, Atzilut is a no thing. For instance, there's what's called the chain of creation, something from something. One world creates the world below it. That from the cause is made the effect. These are the upper spiritual worlds that it seems to be a chain of creation. It seems to be that the lower worlds, the world of the angels, are created by the world of Bria, which is the world of souls. It seems that they're created. Let's just take an example, for instance, in ourselves. A person gets an idea, right? And that gives him an emotion. Right? Comes to you and says, Herschel, You know, you just won. I heard that you just won the lottery, $50 million. What happens? You get this idea, $50 million. Is it really true? Is it really, can I believe Rabbi Bolton? Oh, you get excited. 50 million, I'm so excited. What happened? An idea made you excited. You didn't see the money, just an idea. All you have in your mind is an idea. The idea gets you excited.
Even though it's not true, it's exciting.
Yesh mi'ayin. No, if listen, if a person thinks it's not true, then it's different, right? Herschel, you won $50 million. Herschel what? Herschel Gold. My name is not Gold. My name is Herschel Silver. Oh, I'm sorry, right? Oh, he's not excited anymore. Right? He's not excited. Maybe in the beginning he also wasn't excited. It has to be verified. Good, but as soon as it is, an idea gives birth to emotions. Huh? Good. Rayonot gives birth to emotions. Lochen, therefore, ha'alul pol shinoi be'ila. Therefore, the cause brings an effect in the result. Right? Somebody calls you ugly. You are ugly. What? I am ugly. Somebody, he goes to a psychiatrist, the prison psychiatrist, after you punch this guy in the mouth, he called you ugly. The prison psychiatrist, all he did is call you a name. He doesn't even know who you are. It's just an idea in your mind. Why did you get so excited? I don't know. You have a big problem, right? Just from an idea, you got violent. That's a big problem, right? That's what people do. Ideas, intellect gives birth to emotions. You can control it. A person can control it. Sometimes it's exactly the opposite, right? You should get excited, right? People are dying in the streets from hunger. You're not excited. You're not going to give a few dollars. What do I care? You should get excited. It's an idea, right? It's an idea that should inspire you. Ideas give birth to emotions. That's called cause and effect. Ila va'alo. So it is the way it's, because it's that way in man. Why is it that way in man? Because that's the way it is in the upper worlds as well. In the upper worlds as well, it's the same thing. There's what's called a cause and effect. That's from the world of Bria to the world of Yetzirah, from the world of Yetzirah to the world of Asiyah. This all comes in from Chachma and below, which is called Yesh Miyesh. But the creation of the 10 Sfirot of Atzilut from the essence of God, this is not one thing from another. Hi bebechinat Yesh Mi'ayin. This is something which is being created by pure godliness. Rotzel Omar, it means to say, Shehu He'ora Ba'alma. In other words, the world of Atzilut is just a ray of godliness alone, Loa Etzam, not the essence. Avol Im Zeh, but nevertheless, Harihu He'ora Mi'atzmut, it is a ray from the essence. There's stories, there's one story, let's see what time it is. Oh. A long story, but it's the beginning of the story is a policeman stops a lady that's going too fast, or for some infraction of the law, a policeman in New York, and he says license and registration. She opens up her purse, gives him license and registration. He sees in the wall, there's a picture of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He says, do you know this man? She said, yes, I'm a follower of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He says, okay, then I won't give you a ticket. And he explains the reason why. That the Rebbe gave him a blessing. It was a non-Jewish policeman. And he hadn't had children for 10 years. And the Rebbe gave him a blessing. A long story. The Rebbe gave him a blessing. He was part of the entourage. They used to escort the Rebbe sometimes when the Rebbe would travel. And the Rebbe gave him a blessing that he should have children. And sure enough, he had a son. And because of that, he called the son Mendel. It's a beautiful story. I heard it from Rabbi Groner. What happened? He saw a picture. Said, you're connected to this man. Said, sure, it's true that the picture is just a picture, but it's a picture of the essence. Right? It's a picture of the essence. Same thing. Atzilut is just a picture. It's just a ray of godliness, but it's a ray from the essence of God. Because it's a ray from the essence of God, therefore it has the power of creation. There's in the Tanya, in the Igros HaKodesh, there's the 20th chapter explains about this, how the Sfirot have the ability to create. Okay, so what did we learn today? How God creates the world. We say, God in His essence creates the world by means of Atzilut. Atzilut is pure godliness. It is not Hashem Himself, but it's pure godliness. Atzilut is infinite. but it's created by the essence of God that's even more infinite. That makes sense? And from Atzilut, it created all the lower worlds come from the world of Atzilut. So this sort of answers our question. If God is infinite, how can he create the world? From this, we're going to go back to understanding about Tohu and Tikkun, how all the physical things in the world, minerals, plants, and animals that come from Tohu, and why a human being has to eat them, why he needs them for his nourishment. Why? And then we'll discuss the idea of the nitzutzot, the sparks, of what are in these items that we eat, that we use in the world, in order to elevate them and to elevate ourselves and to keep us alive, what this whole entire thing is for. And from this, we're going to understand what King Solomon said in Ecclesiastes, that he praises drinking and eating and being happy, as we will talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Thank you very much.